This podcast is offered through the Sacred Community Project, an interspiritual collective working to lower the barriers of access to contemplative and devotional practices. Through the universal teachings of love, service, remembrance, and truth, SCP utilizes modern technology to promote eternal values. Learn more at sacredcommunityproject.org.
Hello, and welcome to the Sacred Community Podcast. I'm your host, Xander, and today we have a live recorded meditation from Sitaram Dass. The Sacred Community Project offers one-on-one, heart-to-heart spiritual support sessions, and oftentimes during those, Sitaram Dass is asked to record meditations that come up so that whoever he's talking to can continue to work with them afterwards. With permission, we've been collecting them online, and we now have a digital library that you can go and access them. There are over 20 different meditations that you can go and listen to right now, all for free, at sacredcommunityproject.org. Today's episode is one of those meditations. Obviously, the meditations that arise are tailored to the specific conversation and what's going on in that moment. Today's is focused on using the mantra Sitaram to bring our devotional heart into the presence of grief, serving as a reminder that our hearts are really are large enough to hold everything, every emotion, every feeling, all of it. While I have you here, I want to let you know that if you enjoy this meditation, you can actually hear more from Sitaram Das on the little podcast that I host through SCP. It is called the Baby Teeth Podcast, and I had Sitaram on for my inaugural episode, and I would encourage you to check that out if you enjoy this, because every time I talk to Sitaram, something beautiful arises, and we bask in the vastness of love that we all are in together. All that being said, I will back away from the microphone and let you sit down and drop into your heart space during this wonderful mantra meditation. Until next time, Ram Ram.
So what we'll do is we'll start out, we'll center into our body, center into the breath, we'll bring in the mantra, and then once we're settled with that, we can actually allow some of this grief to be a part of the meditation, and we can find some skillful means to use mantra to work with grief when it shows up. So we'll find our comfortable seat. If you're comfortable having your eyes closed, you can close them. If you prefer to have your eyes open, you can do that. Pick a neutral spot then to look at. And with our comfortable seat, we're finding the balance between sitting upright and relaxing. And that's going to mean something slightly different for each of us. We all have different bodies. But essentially, by sitting upright, we bring a certain bit of clarity of mind. And then we just relax. Relax the shoulders, relax the forehead. Find all the ways that we're holding tension that aren't necessary. And we take a moment. We notice our contact points with the earth. The places where our body is in contact with the earth, where we feel the effects of gravity on the body. So our feet on the floor and our hips in the chair, where we have that sense of heaviness, of weightiness. And often just placing our attention there, it brings in an increased sense of that weightiness, of groundedness. You feel a little bit heavier there, a little bit more rooted and connected. And then we turn to the breath. We don't have to change the breath or breathe in any special way. We're just noticing our breathing as it is already naturally happening. We're paying attention. We notice the inhale. We notice the exhale. We notice the spaces between the inhale and exhale. And we notice the breath through sensations in the body. Somehow we know that we are breathing. Maybe we know that through a sensation, a subtle, almost tickling at the tip of our nose as the breath comes in and out. Or maybe the back of the throat, a sensation of heating or cooling as the breath comes in and out. Or maybe we notice that sensation of movement as our belly or our chest expands and contracts with the breath. We'll pick a place where we can readily notice the breath, and we'll place our attention there. Not in any rigid way, in a gentle way. In a relaxed, gentle way, placing our attention on the sensation of the breath, on the inhale and the exhale. At any time we notice a thought or we get lost in thoughts, the moment that we're aware of it, we are not lost. We acknowledge it as a thought, and then we return to the breath. Not because we're trying to get rid of the thought, or because the thought is bad, or because breathing is better than thinking, but simply because this is the activity of this moment. We're paying attention to the breath, and we're bringing our mind back to the breath every time it has wandered away. Now we'll bring in the mantra, and we're going to sync it with the breath. So, in this way, the breath will act like our mala. On each inhale, internally, we can repeat Sita, and on each exhale, internally, we can repeat Ram. Breathing in, Sita. Breathing out, Ram. Sitaram is the name of truth. It's the name of loving awareness. It's the name of who we really are. Depth of presence that can hold everything in love. Our mind judges and often acts as a control mechanism for the heart. But the heart can just be open. Sitaram is an endless love that knows no bounds. We'll take a moment and we'll allow our devotional heart to awaken to Sitaram. Maybe we think about all the blessings that have come our way on the spiritual path. The teachers, the gurus, the teachings, the holy books, how they all found our way into our life. How Sitaram brought us all of these spiritual blessings, brought us to this moment so we could practice together. Maybe we recall a moment when our heart naturally caught on fire for God. And just thinking about that moment rekindles the heart again in some way. Sitaram is that love. It's also the object of our love. With each inhale, Sita. With each exhale, Ram. Maybe now it's gotten a little bit sweeter. And now, still breathing, still keeping the mantra going. Whenever a thought arrives in our mind, we can greet the thought with the mantra as if we're naming it. We're reminding ourselves that that thought is a manifestation of Sitaram. Like a ripple in the sea of consciousness, or a wave rolling across the sea of Sitaram. We remember that it too is Sitaram. And then we return to the breath and the mantra, because that's what's reminding us in this moment. Likewise, if there's any physical discomfort in our body, we can bring our awareness there using the breath and the mantra. We can remember that that too is Sitaram. Doesn't mean it's not painful, but just that we can still keep our heart open to it. And then we return to the breath, syncing with the mantra. Sitaram. That means even when we forget, that's Sitaram too. The remembering and the forgetting, all manifestations of the sea of Sitaram. And now, continuing with the breath and the mantra, we can allow suffering, our awareness of suffering, to arise in our mind. Maybe we think of a close family member or friend, or maybe a systemic issue is what pops in our mind first. And we allow it to be in our mind, even milk it a little bit, just long enough that it starts to really activate that feeling of grief. So, continuing with the breath and the mantra, let's bring our awareness into the grief itself. So, I'm going to ask a series of questions to help us really enter into the experience of it. Where in your body are you experiencing this grief? Okay. So place your awareness there, breathing into it, in and out of that space. We're not trying to change it or get rid of it. We're actually turning towards it. We're attempting to become intimate with it. If you were to describe it for me, what shape would you say it is? Okay. So go into that sensation and trace the edges of it. All the different crevices, all the changes. all the ways it's the same or different. Just notice it and describe it for me as if you're a scientist in nature. Would you say, is it hard or soft, hot, cold, fuzzy, sharp? How would you describe the surface of it? So keep tracing your awareness around it and even allow yourself to find its energetic center. If there's a certain point where it feels the heaviest, for instance, and just allow your mind to be with that center and breathe in and out of that space using the mantra. Breathing in, Sita, breathing out, Ram. The mantra reminds us that unconditional love is real, that we can be present with even difficult feelings, and that our heart doesn't have to close. Sitaram reminds us that there is a part of our being that is untouched by even the most horrendous agony. Now we can zoom out our awareness a little bit so we're still aware of that sensation of grief, but we're also aware of the space around it. So we're feeling that, and we're also feeling when it's not that anymore. Reminding us that our awareness is bigger than even the biggest sensations. Breathing in, Sita. Breathing out, Ram. Now we'll just hold this in our awareness. We're not trying to change it. We're not trying to run away from it. We're not trying to do anything. Except if we're able, to whatever degree that we can, to just love it simply because it exists. Almost like we're holding it like a delicate baby in the arms of our loving awareness, in the arms of Sitaram. We don't have to get rid of that sensation, but we can soften around it. We can soften the areas where we're rigid to it. The part of us that doesn't believe it's okay to soften. Part of us that still believes that we need to protect ourselves from it in some way. We just allow ourselves to soften there. We allow Sitaram to soften. And for just the next few minutes, we'll both do this practice silently, just present with what is in this moment, breathing with the mantra. And if thoughts come in our mind, they very well may be associated with that feeling. We treat the thoughts with the same delicate care as we do with that bodily sensation. Breathing in, Sita. Breathing out, Ram. And then finally, we'll bring our awareness back into the center of our heart. Breathing in, Sita. Breathing out, Ram. One last reminder that it's always safe for the heart to be open. Grief and anger can exist and do exist within a heart that's as wide as Sitaram. When you feel ready, we can still even keep the mantra going. You're welcome to open your eyes and come back into the space together and we can chat.